Ash fell like snow, soft, silent, suffocating. It veiled the ruined city in gray, cloaking bloodied rubble, shattered steel, and broken bodies in a shroud of death. The scent of ozone and rot lingered thick in the wind. Karma stood in the center of it all, motionless. Chiron, the soul forger, the guide of the dead turned tormentor, was gone. But the scars he carved would remain. Karma had been forced to fight ghosts, not of myth, but of memory. His brothers, his soldiers, comrades who once laughed beside him. Their reanimated souls struck with regret in their eyes, blades in their hands. He had killed them. Again. Worse still, the civilians. The innocent. Those he'd sworn to protect. Gone. The soldiers of his private army, his family, fell beside them. All of it was supposed to mean something. All of it wasted. His sword clattered to the stone beside him. He dropped to one knee, not from wounds, but from weight. Of grief, of guilt, of memory. And then the whisper. It came again, a voice not heard, but remembered. Familiar as blood in the mouth. He'd heard it before, once. A suggestion, a guide, when time fractured and reality closed its gates. It told him how to step through the impossible, not instinct. A whisper from the sealed vault within him. Now, it was no whisper. Now, it was arrival. The vault didn't open. It fractured like glass under the boot of fate. A surge of pressure bloomed through Karma's spine, across his mind, down into his soul. Space bent. Time tensed. And from the breach in his spirit, a shape emerged. Robed in deep purple and faded silver, aura swirling with controlled darkness. The mage had awakened. Tall, expressionless, his face was carved from thought and will. Runes floated in a halo behind him, each glowing like a faded curse. His presence was cold, precise, unnatural. Not evil, but unforgiving. "You waited too long," the mage said flatly. "I gave you knowledge. You buried it beneath sentiment." Karma rose, barely. "I tried to protect them." "And failed. Because you hesitated." "I didn't want this." "And yet, here we are." The mage took a step forward. His voice deepened. "I am what you were denied. The mind sharpened by purpose. The soul forged for balance. I do not hate. I do not forgive. I finish what begins." His hand extended, not kindly, but like a verdict. "Accept me, and you will never be uncertain again." Karma reached out and grasped fate. The moment their hands met, power crashed into him, cold, dense, disciplined. It filled the hollow places left by doubt. He felt the clarity of control, not mercy, not warmth, but purpose. And then the heavens trembled. Golden light split the sky open like a wound, and the air itself recoiled. A figure descended from above, encased in ancient celestial armor, wings wide and frayed. A broken halo hovered over his helm like a crown that had lost its king. Every step he took was prophecy. Every breath, penance. The elder angel had returned to the mortal plane. He landed with the weight of forgotten truth, cracking stone beneath his feet. "I am the first," he said, voice heavy with time. "Before war, before man, before the throne sealed its gaze, I fell. Not for rebellion, for truth." He stepped forward, the dust recoiled from his steps. The host turned, the throne silenced. So they caged me, gilded armor as mockery of belief. But I remember what they wish to forget. His gaze settled on Karma, no longer with divine detachment, but recognition. "You are not alone in there," he said, tone shifting. "I know that power. The scholar exiled from destiny. The one who sees without blinking." Karma's aura pulsed with the mage's presence, unflinching. "And there, something else. Something ancient. Dormant. Hungry." The elder angel raised his hand, and the world buckled. It was not attack. It was pressure. Judgment. The weight of an eternal being bearing down, not to kill, but to see what would break. And something broke. Not Karma. The last vault. There was no whisper, no words. Only a crack that echoed across the battlefield, felt in the bones of gods and mortals alike. Then he came. The Berserker. He burst into existence behind Karma, like a tidal wave made of sinew and steel, but did not lunge. He stood still, breathing deep, controlled. His body was carved from war, thick with scars, etched in glowing crimson veins, eyes smoldering like coals, fists clenched in anticipation, trembling with stillness, not rage, readiness, the calm before slaughter. Power surged from him like heat from a furnace, pulsing in rhythm, a trained predator waiting for the chain to snap. A beast conditioned for war, and now staring at a god. Even the elder angel faltered. Wings curled inward. His silence deepened. Karma stood at the center of the storm, between mage and monster. His voice was quiet, solid, whole. "I am Karma, cursed by death. Soul of the mage, strength of the beast, and the will to end what the gods won't admit is broken." He took one step forward, the berserker inhaled like a war drum rising. "You say you are the price." Karma lifted his blade, now steady in his hand. "Then I will pay it. In fire, in ruin, in blood." Karma paused his words for a moment as he deepened his gaze on the elder angel before his words continued with conviction. "Stand in my way," the berserker tensed, eyes wide, muscles singing, "and I will erase you." The angel raised his blade in silence, and then a crack, a shift, the sound of hope clawing free from ruin. From the wreckage, a shield spell flickered, cracked and barely holding, before bursting in a final wave of protective force. Smoke rolled away, revealing movement beneath the rubble. A battered figure emerged first, one arm wrapped tightly around a child, the other dragging a wounded civilian by the collar. Spence. His face was streaked with blood, one eye nearly swollen shut, but his aim never wavered. The rifle slung across his back hummed with residual heat. He lowered the civilian carefully, checked their pulse, and turned without a word to face Karma. His breath was ragged, his steps heavy, but his eyes, locked forward, focused. "I don't miss," he rasped, voice dry but steady. Behind him, a shimmer, a blur of movement, low and fast. Raven broke through a collapsed service tunnel, one arm bracing a teenager, the other shielding an elderly man wrapped in tattered robes. Her cloak was torn, armor scorched from magical backlash, but her blades were already in her hands. She helped the civilians to safety, then straightened, face pale from exhaustion, but expression sharp. She met Karma's gaze, and then turned her eyes toward the elder angel above, shoulders squared. "You're different," she said breathlessly. "I like it," then added, cool and defiant. "He moves on us, I move on him." A massive chunk of debris lifted and was hurled aside by sheer force. Dell emerged with a cracked shield plate strapped to his arm, back soaked in blood, not all his own. He rolled his shoulder and grinned. "Someone call for cleanup?" Jace followed close behind, moving slower, his frame pulsing faintly with an overdriven body enhancement spell. He carried 2 wounded soldiers over each shoulder, both unconscious, yet carefully secured. "Subtle's not our thing," he growled, setting them down gently. "But we're still breathing." But then they saw them, the 2 figures behind Karma. Jace stiffened, eyes locked on the hovering mage. The runes. The void-pulled stillness. That impossible presence. "So I guess it wasn't a trick," he muttered. Dell turned to him. "What?" "In that fight with Loki," Jace said, voice steady but quiet. "Karma moved. No, he vanished. Bent the field like it wasn't real. I thought I'd been seeing things." Raven didn't look away from the mage. "I saw it too," she said. "He walked between seconds, like time was just furniture." Spence's brow creased as he studied the mage for the first time. He took a half step back, instinctively shifting his weight. "I didn't see anything like that," he said, voice tense. "That thing wasn't there before." "No," Raven answered. "He was. We just weren't ready to meet him." Dell gave a low whistle. "So, what now? We just roll with the fact our boss has a damn time wizard and a war god living in his chest?" Then they all noticed the other figure, the berserker, still as stone, burning with anticipation. Jace tensed again. "That one I don't recognize at all." Spence grunted. "Looks like the kind of thing we're usually told to run from." Dell cracked his knuckles, staring at both figures. "So that's what happens when you piss Karma off." Karma didn't turn, didn't flinch. His eyes were locked on the angel. "They're not passengers," he said. "They are me." That silenced them all. He let the words settle, then took a step forward. Just one. Enough for the truth to carry. "When death cursed me with immortality, he didn't just take my life. He denied me lifetimes." His gaze lingered on the mage, suspended in stillness behind him. "That one, he's the mind I could have had. The seeker, the scholar. I was meant to spend lifetime studying stars and spells, not spilling blood. That's the part of me that longed for peace, buried so deep I forgot he existed." He turned toward the berserker. "And him? He's what I became when I stopped running, when I stopped hoping. That's every war, every rage-filled century they forced me to survive. He was born the moment I realized survival wasn't enough." Karma's voice dropped lower, but gained more weight. Death fractured me, locked away who I could have been into vaults inside my mind, then made me carry the world like I had no choice. His team, for once, didn't speak. But they're awake now. They're not ghosts. They're not spells. They're the lives I was denied, the truths I buried. He turned his back to them, to Spence, Jace, Dell, and Raven. So when you see them beside me, understand, they aren't power. They're justice. They're my memory, my voice. And I'm done carrying them in silence. For a long, quiet moment, nothing stirred. The ash drifted. The wind held its breath. Then Dell moved first. The bruiser stepped forward, boots crunching rubble as he stood tall in front of Karma. Shoulder squared, shield still cracked but raised like it mattered. He glanced over at the mage and the berserker, then back at Karma with a grin. "You think we didn't already know?" he said. "Took death locking pieces of you away to stop you from being a monster, and you still ended up a better man than any of us." He planted his stance. "So if this is you at your truest, then we've got your back, truth and all." Jace followed, no hesitation. Just the sound of his boots grinding over glass and scorched metal. He came to Dell's left side and stopped, close enough for Karma to feel the warmth of loyalty without needing to see it. "You think a fractured soul scares me?" he asked, voice low. "I've been fighting next to you for years. Watched you break, heal, break again. You stood, every time." He glanced back, meeting Karma's eyes. "You're not a curse. You're the one holding the rest of us together." Raven came next, silent at first, her blades lowered, her cloak stirring behind her like breath. She moved to Karma's right and looked directly into his eyes, not with pity, not with doubt, but with clarity. "I saw the mage. I saw the berserker. And I see you," she said. "I don't follow gods. I follow those who fight to stay human, even when it would be easier not to." She turned toward the elder angel, slow, sharp, coiled. "So if he moves on you, he'll have to go through me first." Spence was last. He stepped forward without a word, took his place beside Jace, and lowered his rifle. Then he looked at Karma, one eye bruised shut, blood still on his cheek, but his voice, when it came, was solid. "I've killed for kings, for causes, for orders." He tapped his chest, near where his old badge once sat. "But I've only ever chosen to fight for one man, and he's standing behind me." The four of them stood there, shoulder to shoulder, a wall not just of flesh, but of belief. They didn't stand to protect Karma from the elder angel. They stood to say, "We see you, and we choose you anyway." The mage floated behind them, a spectral sentinel of knowledge and potential. The berserker loomed, unmoving, silent, power and wrath incarnate. But Karma, the man who had lived and lost 1,000 lives, stood behind them all. And for the first time in centuries, he wasn't alone.